So, I think everyone has heard by now that after 7 months of Murder Drones fans waiting, we finally got a new episode to enjoy. And man, there is a lot to go through because a lot happened. Honestly, I'm still speechless at what happened. And also how the views are going for the episode. By far, for Glitch, this is the most successful MD episode as of yet, gaining over 5 million views after 24 hours, and even being its #1 trending in the United States, along with being in the top 10 in various other countries around the world. But besides that, I'm here to give my opinions and thoughts about the new episode and go over a fully ass review on it. But first, what actually happened in the episode? So okay, if you want to skip the summary and get straight to the review, then please go to the following time displayed on screen right now. So here is a short episode summary. By the way, major spoiler warnings if you haven't watched already. Make sure to actually watch the episode first and then watch this review. So yeah, please watch the episode itself first because this is gonna include major spoilers. Anyway, to the summary. The episode starts in the Cabin Fever labs, but when humans were still alive and running the place. They were experimenting with Nori, who is fully possessed by the Absolute Solver, trying to keep it under control. However, obviously the humans can't keep it under control. They activate some weird ass Death Star on the floor, which causes the Solver possessed Nori to be disabled for a while. Dr. Riley holds a USB in form of a crucifix, which they think removes the Absolute Solver from the worker drone. Meanwhile, an intern wearing the wrong clothes of Dr. Chambers is called to bring Yeva to the labs, and he does exactly that. But once he sees everything looks perfectly fine again, he lies he couldn't find Yeva and looks around. He sees another scientist with his right hand chopped off, laying on the floor. Suddenly, the scientist without a right hand gets pulled into the Death Star, which creating a gigantic hole in the ground. With the intern being the only one left alive, Nori comes up thanking the intern for its new host and throws the crucifix at him. The flashback, which was actually a video, ends as a drone in form of a heart with the Absolute Solver capabilities goes into the home with a pickaxe. Then it cuts to Tessa, Uzi and N, who fall out of the elevator into the rubble. N, enraged by V's sacrifice, tries to break out to see if V is still alive and says to Uzi to start using her solver, but obviously her solver is fully corrupted. Tessa suggests to N to start killing Uzi, but N says they won't hurt her. This sends Uzi into a panic, causing her to create a small black hole which explodes, and Robert falls between the three of them, separating the three from each other. Chad and Lizzie are exploring outside until everything loses its gravity, before quickly returning back to normal strangely. Jay comes with a ship and goes inside the spider of corpses. N is caught in the rubble and he's about to cut his arm off. Until suddenly V, as a worker drone made from back in the days where he was a butler in the manor, a hologram also by the way, shows up, which she gets scared of. Uzi, still clearly hurt, notices pictures of her mother showing tentacles and a picture of the cathedral, where the latter she decides to head to. N is panicking as V comes closer, desperately trying to cut his arm off. However, he stops after a glitching V voice mentions he was one of the main reasons why his team retained their personalities. Then V changes into Sin, who hugs him, and it suddenly goes to a flashback of the disassembly drones slaughtering the human race, helping Sin destroy Earth. He quickly snaps out of it, however, after Sin had been denied access by admin Dog X-Wolf17, aka also known as Uzi. Sin then proceeds to drag N away. We go back to Uzi, who is exploring the Cabin Fever labs until she notices the Heart's room. She notices the monitor and watches the flashback video from the very start, which seems to absolutely horrify her. N is dragged all around, trying to free himself. He almost gets killed until the Heart actually saves him. She questions why Sin was trying to kill her own quote-unquote murder pets, then the Solver starts chasing them again. The heart is directing them through on the way. The heart reveals itself to be Nori all along. Yes, Uzi's mother was all along alive as a heart, which is basically, you know, a core. But back to the summary. N and the heart, who I will now be referring to as Nori, hide. Back to the surface. Chad and Lizzie plan on attacking the spire, but something explodes and Jay in the ship goes away. Chad and Lizzie enter, but then also Khan arrives to the spot, holding a half railgun as he is building one, which is totally not nabbed from his daughter. Also unrelated to the summary, but Khan is an total badass in this episode, and I love that. Talk about character development. Anyway, back to the summary. Khan mentions the planet will try to eat them up soon, according to his wife's closet. Tessa is checking the lockers of Absolute Solver infected worker drones who are clearly dead. She gets to a computer which listed all of the infected worker drones, but she destroys it. Then dolls arrive to the spot, asking Tessa where the USB crucifix is to remove her solver to stop her from being used to destroy the planet. Tessa said it didn't need her before suddenly vanishing. Then doll hears a weird sounds further, and it is getting closer. The feeling that something is charging for her. She tries to hold it off, but her efforts are useless and she is ambushed, or if you're Leah Vickers, straight up FNAF jump scares doll. Then we're straight back to the end of the flashback where Nori is about to kill the intern with the crucifix. But before it does, Yeva stops it and straight back flying into Nori's face, freeing her from the solver's influence but her mind being left scrambled. Then we're back to the present day, Nori explaining what had happened to her to N, and that the Absolute Solver came back to Coppenheim to finish the job. Uzi finishes the video, staring into the static screen with a yellow Absolute Solver symbol on her visor, but she eventually snaps out of it and rips her collar chain off out of horror, before seeing Doll collapse to the floor, dead. Her last words on the visor was saying, "Fight back." Tessa walks in and assumes Uzi had killed Doll. Although Tessa well knew Uzi didn't kill her, she just wanted an excuse to kill her. And Nori are on the way, and is told not to tell Uzi that she is her mother or otherwise Nori will kill him, she says. Uzi, absolutely horrified that Tessa is about to kill her, falls to the ground and Tessa proceeds to try to kill Uzi, until N comes in and stops her and eventually beheads her. N helps Uzi get up, but the damage done to Uzi by Tessa was too severe, causing the Absolute Solver to take her over and attack N. Fully possessed Uzi tries to behead N until Nori stops her. It then gets to a absolute huge fight scene, with eventually Uzi snapping out of it because Nori reminded her that the disassembly drones killed her mother, aka her. Uzi, normal this time, enraged and not knowing it was Nori, shoots Nori as if she was a football into the huge ad's hole. And N and Uzi reunite. As they were hugging, Tessa's head almost rolls over into the pit, but before her headless body reattaches itself and unzips. She goes to Doll's body and eats her core. Tessa then reveals her true form. It was Sin all along. Tessa's corpse fully fused with Sin's worker drone body, creating a human worker hybrid eldritch thing or whatever it's called, attacks N and Uzi and attempts to drag them into the pit. Back to the surface, and Jay lands her ship and tries to contact Tessa until she's hit by a bus. She also, meanwhile being hit by the bus, loses her key to the ship. There she sees Khan sitting on top of the bus and Lizzie and Chad with a railgun loading their weapons. Upon noticing the railgun light up, a warning sign with the words "Prior Hazards" lights up on Jay's visor, a cameo to her death by Uzi's railgun in the pilot episode. Damn, even disassembly drones have PTSD. Back on the ground, Anne and Uzi are trying to hold on, but they quickly realize one of them have to sacrifice themselves. Uzi notices the ship keep falling, and then she decides to sacrifice herself and throws Anne out of the labs using her absolute solver with the ship keys handed to Anne. She ultimately falls into the huge ass hole. Everyone assumed she was dead until in the final scene she woke up in space, leaving the series on another cliffhanger. The fact that a short summary is still like ridiculously long, it says how much happened in the episode. But anyway, on to my review. My review. Honestly, I do not know where to start. So I think I will split the review into 3 parts. First are the positives, then is the negatives or the criticism, and the third is my overall ranking of the episode compared to others. So first of all, we go into the positives about the episode in my opinion. Again, disclaimer, this is all in my opinion. If it triggers you, I'm very sorry. It's my opinion, so, and it's also my channel, so I just share my honest thoughts about it. And if you don't agree to them, that's completely fine, as everyone has their own opinions. But as long as you respect my opinion, we're both good and homies. So, that's my disclaimer. Anyway, now on to the positives. First thing I will go over is the visuals and graphics. And my god, they made it 100 times better again. Just look at Khan, for example. Or when the smoke was, when something was in flames, that smoke. It looks very realistic. And overall just makes the pilot of Murder Drones look at like an absolute toaster compared to this. Because these visuals are so good, man. Like every episode, they make the graphics and visuals just look 100 times better than the last, and I really like that. I personally thought after episode 6 the graphics couldn't get any better, but Glitch yet again proves me wrong big time. Speaking of visuals, the lighting as well look very good. It really gives like a vibe towards the episode that it's pretty serious. Like for example when it's a little dark. And you know things get serious once it gets dark. For example when Doll gets jump scared, but the fire went off making it dark. Or when Uzi was staring into that monitor and suddenly, well, the screen breaks and the candles go off immediately, all of them. You know then it gets serious. I've nothing really anymore else to add with the lightning, with the visuals and graphics. Just because they look so good, it really just speaks for itself. It looks so good. The next thing I want to talk about is the animation quality and just the animation in general. And man, they have improved on that as well. The animation this episode feels much more smooth and much more different than the last like 6 episodes. In a good way. Like, let's take that Khan scene for example again. I'm sorry. But yeah, you can definitely see it's very smoothly animated. As if they really put their dedication and effort into animating the characters. When that big fight scene was happening, you can really see, although it was very fast paced, they put effort and detail into every single frame. I don't really think it was as smooth as the Amazing Digital Circus though. I think that was a little bit more smooth, but you definitely see some inspiration maybe from that pilot episode. But yeah, overall it's smooth enough for a very well animated episode again. What I also really liked were some of the reveals in the episode, like, for example, Sin being Tessa. Sin being Tessa all along was something absolutely nobody expected. And you could see it, for example, as well in my reaction.
Wait, holy damn.
Oh yes, get snack upon.
Oh my gosh. Tessa was the bad guy all along.
It's been fun, and also that's sarcasm. Honestly, I'm starving.
Oh god. Whoa. What the fuck?
I know I am very silent, but I was mainly watching with absolute horror, kinda. Just like, holy hell, what am I witnessing? For sure, it was something that the show really needed, an unexpected twist out of nowhere. To be honest, and also now these lines of Tess's first saying she wanted to end sin and all of that, and it really makes it now a bit disturbing because it was sin all along. Also, the cliffhanger. The cliffhanger can really just build on anything. Of course, the cliffhanger is that Uzi is now flying in space, and the rest of the characters we don't have any clue of. We have no clue what they're gonna do in the finale, and that makes it very, very, very unpredictable. Again, this show overall is just very unpredictable. Like, if you see my theories of episode 7, none of them were right. Why? Because I did not expect this to be the thing. So yeah, the finale episode is really going to be absolute unpredictable mess because anything could happen again. Writing this episode I'm just a little bit mixed about, but the unpredictability is something that is very impressive by Liam Vickers again. Like, the guy legit writes the most random stuff that nobody expects, and it still somehow makes sense. Again, this episode really made me realize on why the hell I liked the show in the first place so much. Really about the characters, the unpredictability, and yeah, it's seriously a very good episode, that's for sure. Anyway, going back to the reveals, something I also really liked was Nori. Nori being revealed that she was all along just still alive and living just as a sort of like a core or a heart really is just kind of phenomenal. Because I did not expect her to be alive because Khan legit mentioned she was dead due to disassembly drones, you know, stabbing Nana acid into her. So yeah, I will say that is also something that the show really desperately needed. Some kind of Nori, Yevel, or whatever lore behind what happened previously. Of course, we do not know the state of Nori right now after Uzi legit kicked her as a football into the gigantic hole, but I think she could be alive. I mean, if Uzi is floating in space, she could well truly also be floating in space. We don't know. I hope to get more information on that in the finale episode. Also, one other thing which is very good in the episode. We finally got khantent.
What?
Khantent!
Mr. Gorman, sir?
Bad crowd, those
Khantent!
destroying
He has
ways
a
off
weapon,
the
holy
planet.
hell!
Why?
And not only that, Khan Dolman is in his villain arc. And now I know, I'm a Khan simp, so yes, I have to mention it of course, but still, the fact we got khantent finally after like 2 episodes is just absolutely amazing. The guy legit is not even scared of anything or something anymore. Like, he is just in a full ass villain arc. He's building a railgun, which is of course inspired by his daughters. And the character development for him has honestly been so underseen. Like, the character development for Khan has been just absolutely underrated. Like, as if nobody is seeing it. Of course, a lot of people still hate him for betraying his daughter, but to be honest, I think the personality he has right now, I don't really care about that. He's trying to change himself, which is very good to see. He's trying to just be overall just way more threatening than just, oh, a funny doll-loving guy. No, this guy is in his villain arc. Not that he is actually an antagonist, but if you know what I mean. So, the comedy this episode, some of it was funny, some of it was not. But it doesn't really take away a lot of the story. Although some of the jokes do ruin suspense moments. I will get back to that later, but some of the comedy is pretty good and it doesn't really take away a lot of the story, like in the beginning of the episode when that scientist was saying stuff and then all of a sudden you can see there was a joke that you can clearly see that was a joke. Here's that clip. Like, you can clearly see this was just added as a gag, but it doesn't really take away a lot of the story now, does it? Also, the romance this episode. Again, I'm not a huge fan of romance in, you know, shows. But for this episode, I think it was written again pretty well, like in episode 6. Like, it doesn't really take away a lot of the story, and it's just pretty well written. Like, also, there isn't also a lot of romance in the episode. Like, a lot of people are overreacting. There's a lot of romance, but that's really not the case. The only moments we really had was, you know, when N was trying to get Uzi up and, well, then other stuff happened. And also them hugging, but that was really only the only 2 moments that happened. Does it take away a lot of the story? No. And is it pretty well written? Yes. Also, the OST at this episode. If I had to give it a number, 10 out of 10. Or no, 11 out of 10, because this OST is the best we've had so far. Like, I'm seriously already vibing to it without the OST even being released. When will the OST release is after episode 8, but I can't wait for the OST to release because some of the songs, or well, the tracks in the episode are so fucking fire. Like, it's generally unreal how much AJ has cooked with this one. Like, the guy always just cooks with his stuff. It's absolutely insane. Somebody give him a job after MD because he is so good. That was really my positives of the episode. Really, it's a very great episode, but it's not 100% perfect, I will say. So let's get into my criticisms. Now look, nothing is perfect, but I do want to give some criticism to some of the areas in the episode. Like, for example, the pacing. The pace this episode was really fast, but I mean really fast, like 10 times quicker than in episode 6. I was not expecting a this fast of a pace, and you can see that my reaction to that as well, on how fast the pace is. Look at this.
Just her looking. Space.
Is that
Is that Copper 9? Damn. That's the end, huh?
what?
That felt like 5 minutes, I'm sorry.
That honestly felt like 5 minutes, I said. And first time watching, it really did. It was legit the fastest 25 minutes I've ever had in my life. Of course, rewatching it, you do kind of realize, oh, this was 25 minutes, but still, the pacing was very fast. It was throwing stuff at you like in 500 kilometers an hour. And that's also another criticism I have. It was throwing stuff at you 500 kilometers an hour. Like, you of course first had the Nori and Yeva lore, then you had the main cast being suddenly separated. Chad, Lizzie and Khan of course also exploring outside. Uzi exploring, you know, the cathedral underground and being threatened by Sin. Tessa doing some stuff to Doll. More lore, more fight scenes, more etc. I think I could go on for hours, but it was throwing stuff at you like at 500 kilometers an hour at a rapid fast pace. Kind of like episode 6, but like 100 times faster. You really need to like watch the episode a second time to really understand what has just actually happened. Also, the writing sometimes can be just so confusing. Like, again, I don't know if it was just me, but the writing just felt very rushed and very like, again, it was throwing stuff at you like constantly as if it doesn't really have any sort of idea. It was really just really random lore being thrown into your face at a rapid fast speed. And it just made it very confusing at times. Also, some of the comedy I also wasn't really a fan of. Like, for example, I know I'm not the biggest shipper out there, but I wasn't really a fan of this. Really, it was just ruining a suspense moment by a comedic romantic joke. At least the memes surrounding it are kind of funny. Also, one thing. Something Vanity would be very angry about. Jay again got barely any screen time this episode. Like, it's really just getting a joke at this point. How much voice lines did she get? 2. 2 voice lines. Just 2. Like, fans were really hoping after the merch leak, after Jay especially got a lot of merch, that she would be getting a lot of screen time, but no, she did not. I really wish there was more personality in her, because although she isn't really my favorite character, I do really want to see more of her. But really, we aren't getting that at all. Like, the wasted potential is very much insane, but... And if a writer doesn't want a character to have screen time, well, she doesn't. It's as simple as that. But that is really everything I really have for my criticisms. Yeah, there aren't really a lot of criticisms. Well, there is, but not a whole lot. And that is perfectly fine, as, well, the episode is really good. And then you don't really need a lot of criticisms for it. Now to my overall ranking, compared to others. If I had to give this episode a score, I would give it an 8 out of 10. In my opinion, there's a lot of different factors, of course, on why it's an 8. It's not the most 100% perfect episode, of course, but it's definitely a very solid one. It's very good. It was so good, I even paid money to glitch via the super tanks because of just how good it was and how impressed I am. Between the ranking out of all others, this episode is definitely top 3 100%. And if I had to give every single episode a ranking from 1 till 7, this would be my ranking. Oh hey, I'm suddenly in a notepad thing. So yeah, I'm gonna rank here all of the MD episodes from 1st till 7th. So let's begin on my last place. My last place really for me personally, I think it's going to be Harpy, so episode 2. Why episode 2? Well, I don't know, it feels again very forgettable. Episode 2 just feels very forgettable. Like, when I first watched it, I pretty much instantly forgot about episode 2 ever existed. I'm not gonna lie. In 6th place I have Home. So that's episode 5. Again, really the comedy ruins that episode entirely. And there was nothing really building up to anything. Like, the only thing it really built up to was the Gala Massacre, but was that really a build up? No. No, it wasn't. In 5th place we have Cabin Fever, so that's episode 4. Episode 4 is, again, this is the beginning of the decent one. It was a decent episode in my opinion. Yeah, sure, the writing was a little bit off, but still, in my opinion, it was a pretty decent episode. Definitely not as bad as, well, these two. Again, these are my opinions, so if, like, for example, Harpy is your favorite episode, well, that's completely on you, and I respect that. So long you also respect mine, we're completely fine again. In 4th place, I have the pilot, so episode 1. Although the visuals, they look pretty toaster-like compared to episode 7, still, the story written in that episode was insanely good. It was probably the best pilot of a series I've ever watched. Like, even better than The Amazing Digital Circus in my opinion. But yeah, it was really a very well-written episode. And it really set up the season very nicely. In 3rd place, this is, for a lot of people, this is in first place. I'm gonna go for the Promenade. So episode 3. These are very close to each other, by the way. 3rd till 1st. The Promenade was definitely a very good episode. I really like that Doll versus Uzi fight scene. It was very unique as well. And yeah, it was just probably one of the most perfect MD episodes out there. In 2nd place, I have Mass Destruction. So yes, the latest episode. I don't think it's the best, as in my opinion, yeah, Dead Ends. The exact episode of Con Is It In Dead End is still my favorite episode. As in my opinion, that sets up everything perfectly. Probably the cliffhanger was perfect. Just everything in that episode was just done to perfection. Mass Destruction is, but it's definitely close. It's definitely close between these three. Oh no, sorry, these three. It's very close, especially Mass Destruction, Dead End. I'm gonna say they're almost exactly equal, but Dead End just gets the slight favor for me. So yeah, that's all MD episodes for me, just ranked from, in my opinion, 7th to 1st. Again, these are my opinions. If you have a completely different opinion, that's your liking. But I just wanted to share my opinion on what my favorite episode was and what's my least favorite. Again, all of these are definitely better than Content Farms. Again, all of these episodes are definitely better than Content Farms or whatever. Like 7th place is still a very good video, for example. Like every episode has its positives and negatives. Yeah, that's all I really should say. So yeah, that was my complete review of episode 7. If you enjoyed that, make sure to please subscribe. I'm trying to hit 500 soon, so that would be insanely epic. If you could reach maybe 30 likes this video, that would be honestly insanity. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. See you all later. Goodbye.